It's all documented.
There was an illusion being created using the most awesome tools and the greatest tricks that the American intelligence community had learned to use against our enemies. Now it was being deployed against the American people and our president.
This is the biggest political scandal in modern history, which makes Watergate look like a tiff.
The FBI director has no credibility.
The left used to not trust the FBI, and now they love them.
This can happen to General Michael T. Flynn. Imagine what they do to anybody who has a single strike against them.
35 Russian diplomats in the U.S. expelled.
The prosecution of General Flynn wasn't a pursuit of criminal activity, it was a setup.
Flynn actually had details, so he was talking about going after people's budgets. They were terrified.
Media didn't start as neutral. Media hasn't been neutral all its life.
The two faces of Hillary Clinton are coming out. The fact through WikiLeaks that she says one thing and...
Oh, no.
They worked hand in glove with Comey to try to delegitimize Trump. They were not there to tell the truth.
A political dirty trick is being carried out by our intelligence community.
Honestly, none of us really know, sort of holistically, what to think about this dossier.
They went into Congress. They said, there's nothing here. Doesn't matter. We'll keep going with FISA, we'll keep going with the investigation, and more importantly, we will go on TV day in and day out and lie to the American people to their face, and nothing's going to happen to us.
The nation and all of our freedoms hang by a thread, and the military apparatus of this country is about to be handed over to scum who are beholden to scum, Russian scum.
Billionaire thoughts, billionaire dreams. I know niggas who played ball and gave it up for lean.
Millionaire thoughts, billionaire dreams, but my account in overdraft, I'm about to scream.
Rich man greed,
a poor man prayers.
Every man bleeds,
but look how God made us.
Too many losses, it's only right that we win. Yeah, I made a promise I'm never going to lose again.
Yo, what's going on? It's your boy SL550, and this is the N.G.L.A. podcast. Before we get into it today, man, make sure y'all like, share, subscribe to the channel, and also hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you get notified every time your boy drop a dope video. Man, today a good one, man, because there's been so much going on in Washington, D.C., and Tulsi Gabbard has the receipts. She has the receipts, and we're going to go over it today, man, because, listen, it's no secret that the Democratic Party is full of frauds, full of corrupt people, and we all knew, at this point, we knew that Obama was at the forefront of it all, and we got the receipts with Tulsi, and we got some more receipts with We Got the Receipts. That's her show. So we're going to get into it today, man. Also, we're going to get into, and I want to apologize because I'm a little late with all of this. I've been wanting to go live. This has been day 3, maybe 4, honestly. But I've been working on the studio and upgrading it and everything like that. So I've been out of commission. But anyway, we also got a video with Piers Morgan and Joy Reid. If you didn't see it, you're going to see it today because she and many others are just, what I've been trying to tell people what the Democratic Party is. It's just a bunch of hypocrites, liars, and they'll do and say anything, for the money to be on these big networks. They don't care. These people have no souls. They truly do not care about the American people, and we're going to prove it today. So let's get into this first video. This video right here has Tulsi Gabbard in it. She's being interviewed. And yeah, let's get into it, man.
And we begin this Sunday morning with the biggest political scandal and conspiracy at the highest levels against President Trump. Now, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard revealing what this audience has known all along. A cabal of high-ranking officials led by then-President Barack Obama, CIA Director John Brennan, and Hillary Clinton, among others, took the world on a wild goose chase to try and take down their political enemy, Donald Trump, no matter the casualties along the way. DNA Tulsi Gabbard is now calling for prosecutions, revealing declassified documents from the Russia collusion made-up investigation, which she says detail a treasonous conspiracy by officials at the highest.
Before we get into this video, I just want to see all the people who have been riding on this Democratic train, who I've been debating with, going back and forth with about these certain issues and how they've been, riding the Democrat horse, claiming that they are for the people, they're for the black people and all of this other bullshit, right? When all of this stuff is proven, not by just hearsay and just a bunch of hoax, right? Because this is not a hoax. This is facts. Tulsi Gabbard is coming to the table with facts, receipts, proof, right? And she's going to prove that this was all basically treason. You know what I mean? They saying that this is the biggest scandal ever in U.S. history. This is a big deal. Whether people want to accept that or not, because you might be a Democrat, whatever, it doesn't matter. You got to take it for what it is when it's truth. And that's all. I just want to see all the people, if they're going to be honest with themselves, and either say it's bullshit because it's coming from Trump's administration, or they're going to be honest with themselves. Because that's really what matters. You got to be open-minded, people.
Level of the Obama White House to stop incoming President Donald Trump. The cabal included Barack Obama, John Brennan, James Clapper, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Jim Comey, and Susan Rice, who pushed a made-up story that President Trump colluded with Russia to win the 2016 election, so the cabal would not lose their grip on power. All of this exactly as then Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes, Judiciary Committee member John Ratcliffe, and President Trump himself told us so many times from day one.
What that is it's the original intelligence, the original reasons that the counterintelligence investigation was started. Now, this is really important to us because a counterintelligence investigation uses the tools of our intelligence services that are not supposed to be used on American citizens. So we've long wanted to know, well, what intelligence did you have that actually led to this investigation? So what we found now, after the investigators have reviewed it, is that, in fact, there was no intelligence.
As a former federal prosecutor, my opinion is that declassifying them would not expose any national security information, would not expose any sources and methods. It would expose certain folks at the Obama Justice Department and FBI and their actions taken to conceal material facts from the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court.
How involved was John Brennan?
Totally involved. He was totally involved. John Brennan was one of the architects, in my opinion. You look at Brennan, you look at Clapper, you look at them all. But ultimately, the president knew everything. The president knew everything. President Obama and Vice President Biden, they knew everything.
And Comey and Brennan and Clapper, they all were terrible, and they lied to Congress. They spied on my campaign, which is treason. They spied both before and after I won.
Joining me now is the woman herself, the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Director, thanks very much for being here this morning.
Good morning, Maria. Thank you.
What was the most damning thing that you learned after looking through all of these declassified documents?
Maria, the implications of this are frankly nothing short of historic. Over 100 documents that we released on Friday really detail and provide evidence of how this treasonous conspiracy was directed by President Obama just weeks before he was due to leave office, after President Trump had already gotten elected. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is an issue that is so serious it should concern every single American because it has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic. What we saw occur here, as the documents we released detailed, was that we had a sitting president of the United States and his cabinet and leadership team, quite frankly, who were not happy with the fact that President Trump had won the election, that the American people had chosen Donald J. Trump to be the next president commander-in-chief of the United States. And so they just...
Yo, real quick, I just want to say something. I'm going to let this whole video play, right? Remember also, and I think it's going to be in the next video, I'm not 100% sure, so I want to say it now. Tulsi Gabbard was a Democrat turned Republican, remember. And when she started seeing things that were going on, right? And she started distancing herself from the Democratic Party, they started going after her too. Remember, they put her on a terror watch list and actually had her being looked at. You know what I mean? When she was traveling, they were saying that she was a Russian agent or something. I believe it was Russian agent or something like that. Listen, they will go as far as possible. This is why they did not want Donald Trump in office. Because, like I said, and I'll say it again, the first time Donald Trump was in office, he had no clue, really, honestly, he did not expect to be the president of the United States. The second time, in 2020, he was cheated. He knew he was cheated, right? And then now, in 2024, he had all his ducks in a row. And now he's in the White House. He knows who is who, what is what, who the snakes are. He knows everything. You know what I'm saying? And believe it or not, even though you have people that may be in Obama's administration, Joe Biden's administration, not every single one of these people are bad people. Not every one of these people are with the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? But people have families. People have, just shit going on. And at the end of the day, they may love their job and they don't want to lose their job. So, unfortunately, they may go along with the bullshit. But now, you got a lot of whistleblowers and a lot of people coming forward. So, this shit about to get spicy, man. So, yeah, man, this is crazy. This some crazy shit.
Decided that they would do everything possible to try to undermine his ability to do what voters tasked President Trump to do. So creating this piece of manufactured intelligence that claims that Russia had helped Donald Trump get elected contradicted every other assessment that had been made previously in the months leading up to the election that said exactly the opposite, that Russia had neither the intent nor the capability to try to, quote unquote, hack the United States election for the presidency of the United States. So the effect of what President Obama and his senior national security team did was subvert the will of the American people, undermining our democratic republic, and enacting what would be essentially a years-long coup against President Trump, who was duly elected by the American people.
Yeah. Now, I want to go back to something Devin Nunes said, which is exactly what you're saying right now. And he said, after all of our investigation, we found that there was no intelligence. There was no intelligence actually indicating that Trump colluded with Russia. And what happened? Because there was a presidential daily briefing that was presented to President Obama every day, and every day it said the same thing. We have no evidence of collusion. We have no evidence that Russia did this with Donald Trump. So what happened? How did they actually get the public to believe, and half the public believed, that actually Trump did collude?
Well, this is the thing, Maria, when you look at the assessments that were made, not just by one element of the intelligence community, but in my role as the Director of National Intelligence, I oversee 18 different intelligence community elements. And in the months leading up to the November 2016 election, the intelligence community agreed that there was no intelligence that reflected that Russia was trying to hack the election in favor of either candidate. The evidence showed, the intelligence showed that, again, Russia did not have either the intent nor the capability to be able to impact the outcome of the United States election. So it was very striking when we look back again at the documents that I declassified and released that shows there was a shift in early December, the first week of December. Again, another document was produced by the intelligence community, a president's daily brief that was consistent with every other assessment that was done previously leading up to the election. Russia did not, this is after the election now, did not attempt to affect the outcome of the American election. That was never published. Hours before it would have gone into President Obama's President's Daily Brief, it was pulled by a senior level intelligence official saying that they had to pull it because they had received new guidance. The very next day, this meeting was called, a National Security Council meeting, bringing together all of the senior leaders of President Obama's cabinet, and the topic that was put forward was a sensitive matter. The tasks that came out of that meeting was coming from President Obama directing the intelligence community, then Obama's ODNI director Clapper, to produce a document, to produce an intelligence assessment that detailed not if, but how Moscow affected the outcome of the election that had already occurred, electing Donald Trump to the presidency. This document that they published in January of 2017 was the foundational groundwork that they continued to reference over and over and over again to enact this years-long coup against President Trump.
Now, I know.
Yo, remember I told you, right, that when you control the networks, these TV stations, you control the narrative. And all they do to control the people and control the narrative to the public is just keep saying the same thing over and over and over. And that's what they did with this whole Russia thing, is they kept saying Donald Trump colluded with Russia to win the election. And that's all they had to keep saying. And then they had Hillary saying it, everybody saying it, which make you think that, oh, this might be true because everybody's saying it. All of these different networks are saying it. They all wouldn't say it, but they all would say it if they're all colluding together. So far, since I've really gotten into this political arena, Fox has been the only news station that actually reports real news that's going on, and they give you the actual facts. Outside of that, and look, this is what Fox. They're the only ones that's going to give you the real. Everybody else is going to try to paint a narrative that goes against the truth that's coming out. But see, I said this, and I'm going to say it again. When it comes to this, the problem that any politician, any of these people are going to have in this day and age in trying to put out bullshit and lies is eventually it's going to come to light. Because with the internet, with AI now, with all of these different technologies, it's way harder for them to get the things that they used to get off back in the day, before, cell phones, before, Google, before all of these things. So all of these different technologies. So now you can't just bullshit people because you got all of these different accesses to, different sources, different YouTube channels now. You got people that are doing their own journalism. So we don't need to go watch fake Joy Reid and the white girl, the white chick that looked like a dude. You don't need to watch them. You don't need to watch them because now you got real journalists that's going to give you real facts and real receipts. And we're going to show you that today, man. This shit is deep, bro.
Know that Devin Nunes came out with the Nunes report and a lot of other reports after that to indicate everything that you're saying. And I guess the worst of the reports, the real evidence, is the reports of most recent, right? The last reports are the worst reports that we're going to see. And I understand that there is more, perhaps, that you are going to come out with next week. And I was told that that's why they raided Mar-a-Lago, that they wanted to find the Trump-Russia documents that indicated there was absolutely no collusion, and that there was no evidence to even start such an investigation. But Trump didn't have it there in Mar-a-Lago, but that's why they raided his house in 2022. Is that correct?
I don't have the details on the specifics of the Mar-a-Lago raid itself. Those are within the possession of the FBI. But there's no question in my mind that this intelligence community assessment that President Obama ordered be published, which contained a manufactured intelligence document. It's worse than even politicization of intelligence. It was manufactured intelligence that sought to achieve President Obama and his team's objective, which was undermining President Trump's presidency and subverting the will of the American people. So yes, next week we will be releasing more detailed information about how exactly this took place and the extent to which this information was sought to be hidden from the American people, hidden from officials who would be in a position to do something about it. And that's really the point here that I think is most important, Maria, and you said it in your opening. Accountability is essential for the future of our country, for the American people to have any sense of trust in the integrity of our democratic republic. Accountability, action, prosecution, indictments for those who are responsible for trying to steal our democracy is essential for us to make sure that this never happens to our country again.
Yeah, and I want to get to that right now because I've heard talk of a criminal referral. Are you referring this in a criminal matter?
We are referring all of the documents that we have uncovered to the Department of Justice and the FBI for a criminal referral.
Yeah. And do you believe that we will see prosecutions? I mean, our audience wants to know where this story goes from here. Will we ever see anyone held accountable for this incredible lie on the American people?
I will do all that I can, and we have whistleblowers, actually, Maria, coming forward now after we release these documents because there are people who were around, who were working within the intelligence community at this time who were so disgusted by what happened. We're starting to see some of them come out of the woodwork here because they, too, like you and I and the American people, want to see justice delivered. So we're going to provide everything that we have, everything that we will continue to gather to the Department of Justice for that direct intent and that direct purpose. There must be indictments, those responsible, no matter how powerful they are and were at that time, no matter who was involved in creating this treasonous conspiracy against the American people, they all must be held accountable.
So do you expect, just to be clear, do you expect indictments and prosecutions?
I'm not a lawyer. In my view, we have the evidence to be able to move forward and bring about justice, yes, to prosecute and indict those responsible.
And I
Yo. She's not a lawyer, but you heard what she said. She says she has the receipts. She has it. They have it. And what you got to pay attention to is, listen, they're not going to give the public every single thing, right? We don't have the luxury of getting every little piece of, classified information that they know and that they declassify. Some of the things they declassify, but some things they keep classified, and we don't get it all. You know what I mean? But they're going to give us enough because the one thing that you got to admit is that outside of this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, which I hope that something comes out of it, because other than that, everything that Trump's been doing has been totally transparent. So, it don't get no better than this. You know what I mean? So she already said next week they're going to drop more information than they already have. But she already says she has enough to go to the DOJ with which she has already to prosecute, to go after maybe Obama. Definitely people that was in the administration. Bro, this dude they literally lied. And he was in cahoots with Hillary Clinton. They all was in cahoots because they did not want Donald Trump to be president. Why? Because they know he was not with the bullshit. He wasn't with the forever wars. He wasn't with one party staying in power forever. None of that. And that's what they wanted. That's the reason why everything that they did while Joe Biden was in office proved that. Why else would you listen? When did they ever give two shits about illegal immigrants coming in our country? Right? And all of these people can talk all of this shit about how there are 4 illegal immigrants coming here, right? Illegal immigrants coming here. But yet, all of these rich motherfuckers who's talking all of this shit, y'all got the mansions, y'all got the money, y'all got the resources. Why don't y'all let these illegal immigrants come and move in your motherfucking house and take up your resources? You won't. And they already proved that when they dropped all of them illegal immigrants over there in Martha's Vineyard. They said, man, get the motherfuckers up out of here. Y'all bugging. These people just talk, bro. That's what they're good at, talking. They have no real solutions. I'll say it again. No solutions whatsoever to nothing. All they wanted to do is stay in power, so they keep robbing us, so they keep keep raising taxes, which is robbing us, right? So they can start, they already, you look at the New York City mayor. He wants government supermarkets, all types of goofy shit. I don't need the government to tell me what to fucking shop for. I don't need the government to tell me what to buy. Like, what are we talking about? That's called communism, and that's what these people want. And they want control. They want full control over what you eat, what you take in your. And it's sad, bro. We can't trust nothing. I'm about to have another baby. I can't even trust that the vaccines and all of these different things that they're trying to give my kids is even safe. So I just don't get it. We don't need it. We're good. You know what I mean? But it's sad that in our own country, we can't even trust the food we eat, the medicines we take, nothing. Sad, bro. It's crazy, man. But let's get on to this next video from her channel. Is called We Got Receipts. Self-explanatory. Let's get straight to it, man.
Well, look, the Obama campaign spied on.
So this video is basically to add on to the first video. You know, Tulsi, that was Tulsi breaking down everything that she pretty much had, and she's gonna bring forward next week. And this is an add-on to that and giving you kind of more in-depth information about everything that's going on right now.
Our campaign, and they've been caught, all right? And now let's see what happens to them. But they have been caught. They've been caught red-handed. It's probably treason. It's a horrible thing they did. It probably never happened before. At least nobody got caught doing it. This was all Obama. This was all Biden. These people were corrupt.
It's one of the worst things ever to befall this country in terms of political scandal.
Some terrible things happened, and it should never be allowed to happen in our country again.
Donald Trump claims he's unearthed a major political scandal at the heart of the Obama administration.
And mind you, Trump was saying these things about Obama, right? He was saying these things back when he became president, when he started all of these hoax. So Donald Trump knew, he is single-handedly, literally just putting the fucking Thor hammer to the Democratic Party, man. It's over for the Democratic Party, bro. Seriously.
Obamagate. You know what the crime is. The crime is very obvious to everybody. All you have to do is read the newspapers, except yours.
President Obama will go down as perhaps the worst president in the history of the United States! Exclamation point at real Donald Trump. At least I will go down as a president.
I
continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president. And the reason is because I have a lot of faith in the American people.
So it turns out that Obama did mean it when he said that Trump will never be president, but it wasn't because he had faith in the American people. If anything, he and Hillary Clinton showed a gross lack of faith in the American people by hatching a secret plan that's so illegal, so unprecedented in American history, that it sought to actually undo the votes of tens of millions of American citizens.
From the highest levels of the Russian government, clearly from Putin himself, in an effort, as 17 of our intelligence agencies have confirmed, to influence our election.
It was the consensus of all the intelligence agencies and law enforcement.
We have 17 intelligence agencies.
The intelligence communities have concluded, all 17 of them, that Russia interfered with this election. And we all know how that's right.
I am not quoting myself.
No idea.
I am quoting
Hillary, you
17.
have no idea.
17 intelligence. Do you doubt 17
Our
military
country has
and
no
civilian?
When Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama were still in control of the state machinery of the United States government, they weaponized that machinery to try and prevent their opponent from taking office. Despite their opponent winning fair and square. Despite, in other words, tens of millions of American citizens voting for their opponent. And then they actually had the balls to say stuff like this.
To say you won't respect the results of the election, that is a direct threat to our democracy.
Administration has shown it will tear our democracy down if that's what it takes for them to win.
This time, they're determined to succeed in thwarting the will of the people. That's why respected conservatives has called Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans, quote, a clear and present danger to our democracy.
One of the central foundation stones of a democracy is the idea that you do not allow the politicization of the criminal justice system, the intelligence system, the military.
Yes, that was Obama in 2020 saying that a cornerstone of a democracy, a good, solid democracy, is that you don't weaponize the intelligence community, you don't weaponize the Justice Department against political opponent. He said that with a completely straight face. But I think it takes real balls to say what he says right here.
What happens when the other side has repeatedly and abundantly made clear they are not interested in playing by the rules? It's a problem. And when that happens, we fight. There are going to be times, potentially, when one side tries to stack the deck and lock in a permanent grip on power.
Yo, remember what I said. Projection. This is what they do. They project what what they want to do. This is what they wanted to do. They wanted to stack the deck. That's why they flew. They literally were flying in illegal immigrants. That was one of the components. That was one of them. If they could get 20 million, think about that, 20 million, that's a lot of people, right? To come into the country. And then, remember, when they were trying to pass, what was it called? Was it the SAFE? I think it was called the SAFE Act. If I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But they were trying to pass, I believe, the SAFE Act, which would make it to where you had to show proof of citizenship to vote. Which means none of them would have been able to vote. That's why they never passed it. And this is why Donald Trump is now trying to make the elections, safe, where they have integrity, where people can actually say that their vote actually counts. This is what they do, bro. They're good at it. I'll give it to them. Because they get out there, and when you have, they have, you could say the Republicans, I mean, I can't say they have Fox, you know what I'm saying? Because they're the only ones that really report real news to a degree. But they have ABC, NBC, MSNBC, BBC. They got all of them. So it's 6, 7, 8, maybe more, and that's not even including all the YouTube channels and things like that they have on their side. That's going to push every single thing that the legacy media pushes. This is what they do, bro. It's called projection, bro. If I don't want everybody looking at me for all the shit that I'm trying to do, I'm just going to say they're doing it. It's a smart tactic.
Using the judiciary,
It's
criminal
hilarious.
justice system to go after opponents.
So long story short, we finally have definitive proof from the DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence, leaking some documents a day or two ago showing that Obama actually instructed his intelligence officials to fabricate evidence that Russia had interfered in the 2016 election to help Trump, that Trump had colluded with Russia to win the election, to steal the election from the Democrat Party.
People who did not want to accept the will of the American people in electing Donald Trump in 2016 and therefore cooked up this treasonous conspiracy to again try to effectively, and they did effectively, launch a years-long coup against the sitting president of the United States.
So Trump said for years that Obamagate was a complete scam, that Russiagate was a complete scam. Russia was a hoax.
The whole thing is a scam. The Mueller deal was a scam. The Russian collusion was a scam.
The opinion news like MSNBC talking heads Rachel Maddow or Joy Reid pushed it unapologetically, of course. Are you really surprised?
The presidency is effectively a Russian op, right? If the American presidency right now is the product of collusion between the Russian intelligence services and an American campaign.
It's all part of a concerted drive by the president's allies to muddy the waters of the Russia investigation and discredit the dossier, which outlines alleged Russian collusion with the Trump campaign in 2016.
Reporting tonight, the Washington Post says the president still doesn't accept evidence that Russia interfered and supported him in the election, and those around him know he gets agitated when he even hears about it. David, I mean, according to the Washington Post, the idea that the president doesn't even want to hear intelligence about Russia's meddling in the election is a stunning thing, and that briefers have to kind of figure out a workaround is really eye-opening.
It's unique, as far as I can tell, in all of American history.
This is something which the entire intelligence community has said, is concerned about. General Michael Hayden, former director of the CIA, says it's the political equivalent, the Russian meddling is the political equivalent of 9/11.
Yes. The meddling itself constituted a direct threat to American democracy.
Until this point, we did not know Obama's involvement. We did not know that it went all the way to the top. Barack Obama himself was about to get a briefing saying we have no evidence. It would go on the record if he had his presidential daily briefing say, we have no evidence of this. He didn't want it to go on the record, so they turned down the briefing. And the very next day, Barack Obama himself instructed his own intelligence officials to make up evidence saying the opposite of what the intelligence officials actually concluded. There is simply no precedent for this level of treason ever in American history.
The word treason has come up. We're seeing a lot of things coming to light these days, and it's very encouraging for Americans, especially this report, which so many of us knew this was a hoax. But this goes all the way to the top. I mean, this goes all the way to Barack Obama.
And who can forget this infamous interaction between Donald Trump and Leslie Stahl of 60 Minutes?
Was when they spied on my campaign. They spied on my campaign.
There's no real evidence of that.
Of course there is. It's all over the place. Leslie,
Sir.
they spied on my campaign.
Trump.
Yo, just look at Trump. He is trying to let her know, bro, what are you talking about? They spied on my campaign. Like, yo, and this is the thing, right? Remember, I said I was one of the ones who believed the bullshit too, until I actually started really getting into this politics shit, right? So until you actually, it's just like anything, bro. Until you actually, do your own due diligence and do your own homework, you kind of just going off of hearsay and bullshit that you see here and there. You know what I mean? So you'll kind of just believe anything, especially if you're black. You know what I mean? Because when you got melanin in your skin, period, whether you Spanish, Dominican, black, orange, it don't even matter. You associate with the Democratic Party because you feel as though that, since I'm born in 89, everybody that is black associated with the Democratic Party. You know what I mean? So if you don't actually break away from that and be open-minded and kind of do your own homework on these things, you would just believe it. You'll believe what these people say, bro. And then on top of that, this is the news. This is CNN, MSNBC, ABC, all of these big news stations who Americans are looking for real truth and real information from. But unfortunately, since forever, it's been that way. And when you look and do your homework, like I said, and you go back, you will see that it's the same playbook. And they been doing this shit, bro. This ain't nothing new. And Donald Trump knows this.
Doubled down by saying they spied on my campaign, which is something we now know to be fact. It's confirmed. It is fact. They used trumped up fake intel, the Steele dossier, which literally came from a Russian spy. Yes, Hillary Clinton herself and Perkins Coie, the law firm, literally were interacting with a Russian spy. And Christopher Steele, former MI6 guy, to get this trumped up travesty, the Steele dossier, to use as pretext to wiretap his campaign. They did. They wiretapped his campaign. They spied on his campaign.
Can I say something? You know, this is 60 Minutes, and we can't put on things we can't verify.
You won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't put on things we can't verify.
Leslie, they spied on my campaign.
Well, we can't verify
It's been totally verified.
No.
It's been, just go down and get the papers. They spied on my campaign. They got caught.
No.
And then they went much further than that, and they got caught. And you will see that, Leslie.
And now she is gonna see that, even though she's full of shit. She already knew it was true. I love the sanctimonious, look, this is 60 Minutes. We have high standards here. Good grief. It's actually worth noting that Navy Admiral Mike Rogers, who was head of the NSA under Obama, actually broke the chain of command, went behind Obama's back, and had a private meeting with President-elect Trump at Trump Tower right after the 2016 election. The very next day after that meeting, President-elect Trump moved his operations out of Trump Tower, causing many to speculate that maybe Admiral Mike Rogers warned Trump about the wiretapping, about the spying.
It was the predicate for everything that we're seeing for the past almost 10 years. You started with the Russia hoax. That led to the indictments. That led to the impeachments. That led to the lawfare that we saw for years. We all witnessed it. And you know who was in bed with the Democrats and Obama? The media. This was the same media that was pushing this entire narrative that the president was somehow a Russian asset. We all know it was false. If you look at the confirmation hearings, who got it the worst? Tulsi was one of the people that got it the worst because they knew exactly what she would do.
Yes, Hillary Clinton called Tulsi Gabbard a Russian asset. Never forget that.
Uncovered the biggest scandal in politics, the insane, asinine Russian dossier that we all knew was
Definitely
false,
crazy.
but led to lawfare and indictments and the raiding of his home. Every American should be up in arms right now.
They basically, everybody lied. What do you do in that case? What's the way to handle this going forward? Is it trying this more in the media that wants to keep covering it up? What do you think?
Well, you try it in the media, and guess what the media did? They hired all these people. Brennan, all of these people, they're all hired, MSNBC and CNN. So the media's going to cover for their colleagues, of course.
You guys talked about the Russia hoax nonstop.
boy
The FBI was
JD.
investigating it. The FBI was investigating it, so we covered them. And so you took the words of unnamed FBI agents and put them on your network as if they were the gospel truth. You did it again and again. A viewer of your network would have believed that Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin conspired in 2016. No. That was totally and preposterously false. No. Well, that's
what you just said is
right.
false. President Trump has gone to, quote, extraordinary
so
lengths
fake,
to keep specifics about his meetings with Russian President Vladimir Putin secret, even keeping them from top members of his own administration. Take a listen to how President Trump responded Saturday night when asked directly if he has ever worked for Russia.
Bro, Jake Tapper is one of them. Bro, these motherfuckers, dog, they are so fake, bro. And then they'll turn around and just lie in your face. Everything that J.D. Vance just said was facts. Was fact. And listen, literally, the next clip is him saying exactly what J.D. Vance said. And then he said, no, it's a lie. It's not true. What you're saying is a lie. They got no, bro, these people got no backbones. They got no integrity at all. They do not care, bro. They're all bought and paid for. And for the right price, these people will get up there and say and do anything. They don't care. And that's why Jake Tapper's trying to dance around with his little fucking nut-ass book, trying to convince people that, no, you know, I didn't know. I was like y'all. I was in the dark. Meanwhile, he was getting that yellow envelope.
I think it's the most insulting thing I've ever been asked. I think it's the most insulting article I've ever had written.
The president did not directly answer the question. It's a stunning turn of events. Do you think the president of the United States ever worked on behalf of the Russians against American interests?
Speaking of collusion with the media, and might I remind you that January 6, 2017 was when the media put the Russia hoax on blast. They made it what it is, right? So the night before DNI Tulsi Gabbard releases all these documents, guess who is still pushing the Russia hoax?
Well, you spent so much time investigating Donald Trump and sounding the alarm on his misdeeds, the Russia collusion, impeachment.
He can't even get it out. He can't even get it out. The Russia collusion.
January 6th.
I wonder why the show got canceled. I can't quite figure it out. And speaking of fired Stephen Colbert, who completely buried The Late Show and destroyed its legacy. Who can forget this moment when he was talking to Claire Danes, who stars in Homeland, the show Homeland, where she's a CIA agent, etc. She talked to a lot of these people and picked their brains. And so she's talking with Colbert on what she learned. And he cuts her off right before she gets to the real meat of her answer.
Yeah, so we park ourselves in a club in Georgetown and talk to like people in the intelligence community. But this year it was all about, you know, the distrust between the administration and the intelligence world, and the intelligence community was suddenly kind of allying itself with journalists, which usually they're not.
How long ago did you start shooting this season?
And the intelligence community was sort of allying itself with journalists, which usually she's trying to say something else and he cuts her off.
The intelligence community was suddenly kind of allying itseless with journalists, which usually they're not such good friends.
Which usually they're not such good friends. And Colbert just comes in and he's like, no, who was it that Obama was talking to when Obama said that he wished he could have an earpiece with the next president, Democrat president, he assumes, of course, this is prior to 2016, so that he could unconstitutionally remain president, regardless of the voters' will.
If I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could...
I think it looks familiar. It's bad quality, but you could still make it out, right? It's Stephen Colbert.
Sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony. I'd be fine with that.
Well, it turns out that wasn't such a joke after all, as Susan Rice and others who were very close to Obama were in the White House the entire time throughout the...
Yo, bro. Yo, do you see? Yo, it's so crazy when they go through these type. That's why I love channels like hers, because they actually do the work and actually get these videos that make their points. And like, just think about that. He literally said this to Stephen Colbert, that he wished that he had a front man, which was who? Joe Biden. And he had an earpiece and he was able to tell him what to say. Yo, it's crazy, bro. Yo,
Biden, fake presidency.
Listen, I don't know if motherfuckers like be into this type of shit, man. I don't care if you're into it. This shit is so fucking interesting, bro. It's crazy, bro. These are people that actually make laws. These are people that actually, you know, control how much taxes you pay, and all of these just different things that, you know, go on in the United States of America. So to just see the corruption at the highest level, and to know that out of all of the presidents, right, that could expose these type of things, it's Donald J. Trump who's doing it, right? The most hated president since I've been alive, for sure, right? I can't speak for the ones before, but since I've been alive and I've known the presidents, he is the most hated. People hate this dude, but he's the most transparent, the most real, and he's been right, like, all along.
And in fact, Barack Obama was so involved in the Biden presidency, was such a, let's say, a shadow president at the time, earpiece aside, that it was Obama's corner, Obama loyalists, who actually pushed Biden out and kicked him to the curb, replacing him with Kamala Harris, and maybe perhaps hoping that Trump wasn't going to be there. You almost have to feel bad for Barack Obama after a certain point, because he actually once mocked presidential candidate Mitt Romney in 2012 for vilifying Russia for saying that Russia was our biggest enemy. Barack Obama said something to the effect of, the 80s called, they want their foreign policy back.
I mean, I'm glad that you recognize that Al-Qaeda is a threat, because a few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia, not Al-Qaeda, you said Russia. And the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back, because, you know, the Cold War has been over for 20 years. But, Governor, you know, when it comes to our foreign policy, you seem to want to import the foreign policies of the 1980s, just like the social policies of the 1950s and the economic policies of the 1920s.
It's a pretty good debate zinger, can't lie. Barack Obama used to think that vilifying Russia as the chief enemy was just so passé and so 80s and so Cold War and so ick. But this is why you almost have to feel bad for Obama, because the Russia stuff doesn't really fit his MO with how he actually talked about Russia. He used to talk about Russia like they were an insignificant, totally harmless backwater.
The Russians can't change us or significantly weaken us. They are a smaller country, they are a weaker country, their economy doesn't produce anything that anybody wants to buy except oil and gas and arms. They don't innovate, but they can impact us if we lose track of who we are.
But Barack Obama's always been a scammer. Remember that infamous moment in 2012 where he was caught on hot mic saying to Russian President Dmitry Medvedev that this is my last election. After the election, I'll have more flexibility. Of course, this was on sanctions, etc. It was perceived by his opponents as being soft on Russia.
Last election, yeah. And after my election, I have more flexibility. Yeah. And I transmit this knowledge to Vladimir and Alexander.
There are plenty of moments when Obama would be seen laughing jovially with Vladimir Putin. So how did we get from that to the Russia hoax? Well, it's because Hillary Clinton lost the election. Hillary Clinton is also a much older baby boomer than Barack Obama. She's always had kind of an 80s swag anyway. She desperately wanted a distraction from her email scandal, and she wanted to undermine the election of a legitimate president. She called Trump an illegitimate president for years.
The director of national intelligence reveals startling new details about the Russian collusion hoax against President Donald Trump. And as one of America's Pearson Sharp explained, senior Obama officials were working hard to cover up Hillary Clinton's email scandal and undermine the 2016 election.
The chickens are coming home to roost. The director of national intelligence, John Ratcliffe, has finally declassified documents revealing the origins of Hillary Clinton's scheme to falsely connect presidential candidate Donald Trump to the phony Russian collusion scandal. And in what must come as a surprise to absolutely no one, she did it all as, quote, a means of distracting the public from her use of a private email server before the 2016 elections. That's a direct quote from former CIA Director John Brennan himself. But even more importantly, and this can't be overstated, Brennan told President Obama all about it.
I think John Brennan has turned out to be such a partisan, such a sort of vituperative critic of the president, and I do really am concerned about having so many people now in the intelligence community that have come out with real partisan views while they're at work. I mean, when people are plotting at work to try to prevent President Trump from being president, that's a problem.
So to boil it down, the former president of the United States knew that the CIA, the FBI, and other top officials who worked for him were conspiring to sabotage a presidential candidate, undermining the democratic election process.
Now, this is an old video from maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So today, as of a day ago, we know that it wasn't just Obama having knowledge of John Brennan and James Clapper falsifying evidence against Trump. We now know that they were instructed explicitly by Barack Obama. You know, maybe Obama just felt really bad for Hillary Clinton's humiliating loss to President Trump, and so he tried to throw her a bone, and he went along with this bullshit scam. There's some evidence in all these documents that they were still in cover your ass mode. There's a lot of language in there that makes them sound scared, in other words. I guess hell hath no fury like a woman rejected by the American public.
Sheesh. Oh, look at this motherfucking milk dud ass bee, y'all. Anyway. Listen, people. Listen. I even made a song, right? It was called Time for a Change back in when Obama was running for president. Because I believed in Barack Obama, right? He was the first black president, right? We were excited. He was going to do great things for us, man. What'd he do? Nothing. Passed gay marriage. That's about it. So he can marry Michelle, my bad. But anyway, man, listen, bro. This shit get deep. It get deep, man. You know, so we don't know what's going to come of this, man, because these people do have a lot of influence, a lot of power. And, move this mic up. And, you know, at the end of the day, we want answers, though. The American people want to actually see, you know, these people be held accountable, man. This shit is big shit. And and the whole thing of it is the reason why they got to be held accountable because if not, then it will happen again. You know what I mean? It'll happen again. So I just want to see all, you know, because I know it's certain people that I'm thinking about right now, right? That actually, you know, fake watch politics. They fake watch it. They watch MSNBC and they, you know, they watch it like it's like the Bible, you know, or for me, the Quran, you know, like it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I just want them to be honest with themselves, right? Barack Obama was not who you think he was. And to be honest, he wasn't who nobody thought he was. Just think about it. When he was president, Trump was saying that he wasn't even an American citizen. He shouldn't even be president, right? And then there was evidence, not saying that it's factual evidence, but there was evidence that somebody, I seen a video where a guy showed the birth certificate that that Obama had, because, you know, it was said that he was born in Hawaii. You know what I mean? But if you actually look into it, right? Barry, which is now Barack, but his real name is Barry Sertos or Soto or something like that, right? Barry grew up in, I believe, Indonesia. He really didn't grow. It's just like Kamala Harris, right? They want her to be black so bad that they willing to say she from the projects in Oakland. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like us as black people, we just looking for anybody just got melanin in their skin to come save us. But there is good black people out here like Byron Donald, for instance. I think he would make a great president. You know what I'm saying? And there's more. You know what I'm saying? It's just not a lot because, you know, I believe that a lot of these politicians get into this and they think that it's something and it's not. And then they fall into it because the money is good. It's all going to come back to money in one way, shape, or form. It's going to come back to money. All of these people, they sold their souls for money, right? And they don't care. They're going to take advantage of the American people. They're going to lie to the American people. And unfortunately, man, it took Donald Trump, man, to start breaking these people, bro. But anyway, on to this bald head gremlin, Joy Reid. It's nothing, listen, it is nothing better than seeing these people get fired. Like, I love it. When Joy Reid got fired, right, I celebrated. I did. It was a good feeling, right? Now, I understand people got to take care of their families, and I don't wish bad, even on Joy Reid, and I do not like her at all, right? She's one of them. Also, Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, all of these people need to stick to what they're good at, which is the late night shows and stuff like that. She was trying to be a news reporter. She sucked at it, right? She needs to go play tennis or something. But all of these other people that are trying to get into politics, right? I'm not trying to get into politics. I'm just talking shit, right? Giving my little opinions about things. but I'm going to talk about many things because that's what I'm into. But I wouldn't say that I'm a journalist or I'm a news anchor. I'm not, right? But you got people that are in certain fields that are trying to jump into politics and give their 2 cents. And now it's coming out that they're just bought and paid for, bro. But anyway, here goes another bought and paid for former she was actually, I think I put it wrong in my thumbnail. Because I think she was part of CNN, and I put MSDNC. I think she was part of CNN, now that I'm thinking about it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's all the same, for real, for real. But she went on Piers Morgan, and Piers Morgan literally, he really just speaking truth, to be honest, and she don't like it. So we're going to get into this video right here with Joy Reid. Hold on. Played the wrong one. My bad.
It's the Joy Reid show on YouTube. Joins me now.
so
Joy Reid,
fake.
welcome to
Oh,
Uncensored.
my God.
Piers, thank you for having me.
Well, we've never met, I don't think. We've never spoken to each other.
Yo, just the fact that, like, some of these women just wear that bald head, it just blows my shit. Like, just look at her shit. Her hairline look like mine. It's fucked up. Damn. Look at all that makeup. Oh, my goodness. And this is supposed to be the representation of black people?
I think we've locked horns a little bit on social media in the past. I think I'm blocked by you on X. I can't remember what crime I committed, but probably Trump-related. Just first of all, what Barack Obama has said and what Chris Cuomo said there, has that given you pause for thought about what the Democrats should now do? Because it's all very well just shrieking constantly about how evil Trump is, but it clearly hasn't worked now twice. You know, the fact that the guy went away for 4 years and then came back and won again was an utter repudiation of the tactics to be him, wasn't it?
Well, first of all, I'll say I have not blocked you on X Twitter because I haven't been on X Twitter since Elon Musk acquired it. I actually left the platform, so there might be someone posing as me who's blocked you. So
I think it was prior to Elon's purchase.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, so this is an interesting conversation because there is no one who is more obsessed with racial identity politics than Donald Trump. He ran the most racial identity politics laden campaign that I've seen in my lifetime, and I've been following politics since I was 12. The point of his campaign was, if I was to sum it up, that immigrants, whom he identified as gang members from Venezuela, as people from S-hole countries,
as
essentially any non-white migrant or immigrant in the country, were vermin who were poisoning the blood of our country.
Well, he was talking about criminal, illegal immigrants.
Illegal.
Hang on. He was talking... You can't misquote him off the top. This is my point, though. This is my point. You know, I remember... Let me just say something, Joy. I remember when he won in 2016. I was at the New York Knicks the next day with my eldest son, and Chris Rock was there at the next table. And we got talking. I said, why do you think Trump won? And he said, you know why? He said, if someone's murdered 8 people, stop going around saying he's murdered 9. And he didn't mean Trump had actually murdered anyone. What he meant was, there's plenty to criticize Trump about. I've done it myself many times. But there's also a lot of stuff that resonates with people. And I think it's the over-exaggeration, the over-demonization of Trump is part of the problem. And your characterization of his depiction of immigrants, you said the word immigrants. Actually, what he was talking about repeatedly on his stump in his rallies was specifically illegal immigrants who come in illegally, who are criminals, who are already convicted criminals, who've come into America across the southern border in huge numbers, who are criminals. He wasn't talking about non-criminal immigrants, as you tried to put it there. So there is a difference.
False. No, first of all, it's absolutely false. Let's talk about...
Bro, everything that Piers Morgan just said was facts. It's facts. And everything that she said was lies. This is what they do, people. Like, and she's not going to be able to handle this interview, and she knows it. because he's going to keep hitting her with facts. And that was a fact. He cut her off because he's like, come on, like, we can't keep doing this. Like, y'all can't keep sitting here, like, just lying. And that's what they do. See, people forget that. And they'll keep saying immigrant, 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 immigrant. And most people in America are immigrants. Most people here are immigrants, but they're legal immigrants. He's talking about illegal immigrants, and they always try to leave that part out, which confuses regular American people. And they think that he's just kidnapping people, and like, bro, it's crazy, bro. And there is people that's here also that be on visas and stuff like that, that overstay their visas. That's illegal. You have a visa. You're here temporarily for a certain amount of time. And, you know, I seen a video with Officer Tatum where somebody I think he knows or something like that. She was like Vietnamese or something like that. She was Asian, and she got deported. And she actually had a business here. She actually paid taxes. She was a good person. Like, I think that she should, you know, get a chance because she actually, you know, has a foundation here. But obviously she did something wrong. She might have had a visa or something. She made it overstayed. I don't know. I don't know the details in it. I just happened to run across it. But he, you know, he was just speaking on it because people were saying, well, wait till it happened to you. Wait till it happened to you. And he's, you know, he was posting it because it was somebody he actually knew. I don't know if it's because he ate there or he actually knew the person. But at the end of the day, they are illegal. No matter how you try to put it, no matter, you can't, listen, I can't go to any foreign country like tomorrow, fly there and just move in and just be like, yo, I'm here. Like, you know what I mean? Let me get some of y'all, whatever y'all got available for me. Like, nah, bro. America is the only, bro, this shit is crazy, bro.
For one example, the Haitian immigrants in Ohio. These are people who were in the country on a legitimate visa, who are actually improving that community by taking jobs desperately, where people desperately needed to hire and did not have any, you know, enough American-born employees, and they were hiring these folks. They were taking badly needed jobs. They were improving the community economically.
They were hiring them because it was cheap labor, bro. I see it all the time. I see it out here in Jersey. Like, it's called cheap labor. It's called, like, why am I going to pay somebody that's American top dollar or minimum wage, which would, I don't know what it is now, maybe 15, maybe close to, you know, $18. I'm not sure. But why would I pay somebody that when I could pay this dude $10 an hour? And he's willing to do it because he needs any kind of work he can get. So, like, what are you talking about, bro? And listen, like I just said, there's people that come here on work visas, and that's different. That's not illegal to do. But she's talking about people that are here illegally, but they're doing jobs that may be needed. Who cares? They're only getting the job because it's cheap labor.
Accuse them of eating people's cats.
It's just so crazy, bro, because they act like they care and they don't, bro. That's the shit that blows my shit. She wouldn't move not one illegal immigrant in her home. I don't give a fuck what she says. She would not do it, bro. Just be talking.
Dogs. He characterized them as if they were animals. These are people who his own administration had allowed into the country on a legitimate visa.
But I agree with you.
First of all, I'll stop. Let me just.
But I agree with you.
So his all-encompassing term about immigrants being vermin and poisoning the blood of the country was all-encompassing because it included them. And in his mind, it included anyone who he said came from an S-hole country, meaning if you came from Nigeria, if you came from the Gabon, if you came from any country in Africa. He in a blanketed way depicted immigrants again, with Nazi terminology, vermin.
Well, let's leave Nazis out of it. You know what? Whenever people,
let me finish
but
my
Joy,
thought.
whenever you think it's taking you what? It's taking you 4 minutes, and you've called him a Nazi already. Come on.
But now,
can't help it, bro.
What we're seeing are masked federal agents sweeping up cooks, abuelas, people who work on farms, picking up dishwashers, any brown person. And Tom Homan said, based on one criteria being their appearance, it's overwhelmingly brown and some black people. We're not seeing them sweeping up white folks on the street. Donald Trump ran a racial identity campaign. And yeah, this is America. That is appealing to, unfortunately, a lot of Americans.
Well, actually, it turned out to be very appealing
She wanted
to
to say
Latino
white.
Americans.
She wanted to say
who voted
white
for
Americans.
Him in record numbers. More Latinos voted for him than voted for Kamala Harris, the non-white candidate. More Black Americans, African Americans voted for Trump this time round than first time round. So for
Not
this,
true.
for this,
Statistically, it was the same.
No,
the
no,
same number of black
it was
Republicans
actually
voted for him. That's always
more
do.
Black
No, it's the
Americans
same.
voted for Trump
Google
this
it.
time than
It's
last
the
time.
same. It was the same. And by the way, this is the other challenge. There is a phenomenon, and my family are immigrants, and there is a phenomenon among immigrants of slamming the door behind themselves. And by the way, more Latinas, women in the Latino community voted for Harris. But there is a phenomenon. If you talk to people who actually are in the community and study this and spend a lot of time on it, journalists who studied it, there are a lot of Latinos who want so badly to identify with Americanness that they identify against fellow immigrants. That is not a new thing.
No, but maybe they weren't identifying. Maybe they weren't identifying. But Joy,
that's not new.
Maybe they were just
blackness. And
let me respond to that.
The Latino community is not new. It's
let me respond to that.
Exists.
Maybe they were just sick and tired of people like you, and I say this respectfully, but people like you constantly calling Trump a Nazi. Maybe they thought it was ridiculous.
Maybe
to compare...
don't call people vermin and say they're poisoning the blood of our country. That's not the terminology. Don't use it.
You have repeatedly, over the last few years, called Trump a Nazi. Now, the Nazis were the most despicable, awful human beings we've seen in 1,000 years. They murdered 12 million people, 6 million Jews in the Holocaust. Trump is not a Nazi. So when you do that, you thought it. Let me finish.
You've just done what you normally do. I have said he uses Nazi terminology, and that's a fact.
Right.
Saying people are poisoning the blood of our country, that is Nazi talk. That is what I have said about Trump. I will stand by it, because if you're calling people vermin.
Bro, she literally had a whole segment comparing Trump to Adolf Hitler and other, like, really bad people, bro. Like, she's a fucking fraud, bro.
And saying that they're poisoning the blood of our country, you are lifting language out of the Nazi playbook. That is very different from saying that Donald Trump is perpetrating a Holocaust such as in the 1930s.
Right.
But what he is doing is straight fascism. That's not me saying it. Mark Milley, his former Joint Chiefs of Staff chair, said that he is a fascist to the core.
All
his
people
former
he fired.
Chief of Staff says he's a fascist. And the things he's doing, masked men snatching people off the street, not even showing any identification as law enforcement.
Let me ask you a question.
Men dragging women,
Let me ask you a question.
children into vans, fascism.
You've made this
straight
point.
up. I will stand by that any day.
Let me ask you a question about immigration. It's a very interesting topic at the moment, as you rightly observe. What are the fruit you eat to stay healthy is actually making you fat? According to heart surgeon and uncensored sponsor, Dr. Steve Gunn.
Nobody cares.
So my view, for what it's worth, as somebody who is an exceptional alien, is how it's described on my visa to the United States, but I have a home in Los Angeles, and I love America. I've lived and worked there for 20 years. My view is that most Americans, I think instinctively, do not have a problem with the principle of deporting undocumented workers who commit crimes in the United States. Would you have a problem with that as a policy?
As a policy, if people get a hearing and they go through a process, sure. But that is not what's happening.
No, I'm going to come to the next bit.
Hold on, that is not what's
Joy,
happening.
I'm going to finish my point.
It's not what's happening.
I wanted to see what you were prepared to agree with me about, because I think it's healthy to the debate, right? So we both agree about that, which is good. Now, I don't think that they should have pressed the button on deporting as many illegal immigrants who are there undocumented, but who've not committed crimes in the way that they're currently doing. That they should have sorted, first of all, people who are in the country illegally who commit crimes and deported them. Everyone would agree with it. But I agree with you. The wholesale pulling of people off the street who may have been in America for many years, got families in America who pay taxes in America. You know, you only have to talk to farmers to understand the devastating impact this may have. So on that, I would agree with you. But I also think that, and I hope you would agree, that Donald Trump has pretty much stopped completely the number of people coming over the southern border illegally. And under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, over a 4-year period, as many as 10 million people are believed to have come over the southern border illegally. Now, you must surely think that the Trump way of securing the southern border is better for the United States than the Biden way.
First of all, if those are Donald Trump's numbers about how many people came in over the southern border, I don't buy them at all.
What numbers do you buy?
Anything Donald Trump said.
What numbers do you buy?
And let me go on.
Well, how many do you think it was?
Let's just say it was.
Well, Joy, how many do you think it was?
No, let's just say I'm going to stipulate to you. Let's just say it was 10 million people. Are you asking your viewers to believe that 10 million people were in the country raping and robbing rather than working on farms, working on construction sites?
No, I didn't say that.
We have to recall that so again, being in the United States without documents is a civil offense. It is not a felony. And so the reality is, if it was 10 million people, we have to ask ourselves, what is the pull? America has always run from the time that people who look like me.
This a little bit.
Why shouldn't people?
I want to ask her about.
Wait.
He asked her about something I want to see.
He does. Trying to take people's citizenship away, denaturalizing. That's Idi Amin behavior. There's a black fascist that you can compare it to.
Okay, let's move on to, I want to just play a clip of when you lost your job at MSNBC. Let's watch
All right, let's get here.
My show had value. And that...
No, I did.
I'm sorry.
Oh, she lied again.
That,
oh, it did not have no value,
that what
bro.
I was doing had value. Had value. And in the end, I'm sorry, I try not to cry on TV. And whether it's talking about any of these issues, and yes, whether it's talking about Gaza and the fact that we as the American people have a right to object, to little babies being bombed. And I am not sorry that I stood up for those things, because those things are of God. And you know, I'm a church girl too, and those are the things.
Lies again. Guarantee you she don't go to church. Anyway, listen, I'm gonna play a little bit more of this, but yo, just think about it. She do so much, right? She do so much talking about racism, bro. Right? And I guarantee you her boss is white, right? And just look, she got on literally like the next day, started her own little whack-ass podcast, right? And she's crying. She's crying. She's hurt. She got hurt. She got hurt by her white boss. He hurt her feelings.
That I was taught were of God. And so I'm not sorry. I'm just proud of my show.
Now, look, you're perfectly entitled to be proud of your show. Many people enjoyed your show for many years. You know, a lot of people at NBC were briefing that the reason was declining ratings post the election, a 47% decrease in your election, in ratings from pre-election. But you told Mark Lamont Hill on his show this.
After I said on my show that the reason Americans could relate to Ukrainians in a way that they didn't relate to Palestinians, that Ukrainians are...
Bro, look at this nigga shirt. The future is black and feminist. Bro. These niggas get weirder and weirder, bro. Oh my God, bro. They'll do anything for some coochie, bro.
White. And so watching white people get their schools bombed was, you know, hit different. That hit our ratings. I mean, it definitely, we could see the loss of white viewers from that moment that I said that. So they were like, we don't like the name calling. And also I'm a black woman. So, I mean, I'm sure it makes him angrier, you know, when I say things. Maybe because I am a global South person myself, you know, I mean, as a black person, we have a different empathy toward other global South people when they are suffering. And so we're going to come at that story from a different angle and in a different way and with different kinds of empathies. And I think that's not always received very well in the
No, you're going to come at it with racism like you always do. Everything is racism.
News business.
No, Joy, I mean, look, let's be honest. I don't think you were fired after all those years because of your skin colour or because you're a black woman. I think you were fired because your show just got increasingly unpopular. It happens all the time in TV. That's why you got let go. Why play the race card?
That's what she did.
First of all, I love the fact that your play the race card is your version of the race card. You literally are so fixated on trying to racialize conversations with me, Piers. I find it actually quite charming.
You racialize more conversations in your tenure at MSNBC than any host in history.
All right, Mark. All right, Piers. And the bottom line is you take an entire conversation that I had with Mark Lamont Hill and pick the bits that you can racialize because this is your shtick. And I get that this is your shtick.
You racialize everything, Joy. Come on.
I get it. I understand this is your shtick, Piers. And listen, game recognizes game. I get this is your game.
It's not my shtick.
And the bottom line,
it was your
shtick.
It
is your shtick, and everyone knows that it is.
Shtick.
Piers, we understand what it is. And it is so interesting to me that you yourself, as a white European, find that when people of color talk about race, that you believe is racializing conversations. But when people like you fixate on, well, Barack Obama was a black president, why don't you object to that? That is racializing a conversation about the former president of the United States. But you can't put your, and I'm sure you find that charming and funny.
I find it hilarious because you're the one. You're the one who said. You're the one who said Donald Trump.
You and your friend Donald Trump.
You said Donald Trump is a white fascist.
Are so. He is a well. I agree with Mark
when Obama
Milley,
did the same
who,
thing,
last time I checked, is
I'm not allowed to mention his skin color.
I agree with his former chief of staff, who last I checked was not black and said he's fascist. And Mark Milley said he's fascist to the core. Okay. So I happen to agree, and I know this is what it's important to you, with two very white gentlemen about Donald Trump's fascist tendencies.
Okay.
If that makes you sad and uncomfortable, I can't help you.
No, yes, it made me sad and uncomfortable. I think it makes you a little bit of a hypocrite, but that's different. Now, President Trump reacted to your departure by saying low-life chairman of Comcast, Brian Roberts, the owner of ratings-challenged NBC and MSNBC, has finally gotten the nerve up to fire one of the least talented people in television, the mentally obnoxious racist Joy Reid, based on her ratings, which were virtually non-existent, should have been canned long ago, along with everyone else who works there. What's your response to that? Many of us carry around bulky, worn-out wallets that are uncomfortable and full of junk. The big question is...
Fascinating to me that you think it's important that I care what Donald Trump says about me. It's a badge of honor. If he dislikes me, then I think I'm doing something right. I have zero respect for Donald Trump, and therefore, if he feels the same...
Donald Trump single-handedly got you fired, Goofy. Because you want to keep... Y'all was... infatuated with Donald Trump.
Way about me,
he got you
then
fired,
the feelings
Goofy.
are quite mutual, and I'm very, very proud of that and happy with it.
Okay, I want to play a clip. This is you talking about, you attacking parents. You spoke out about their concerns about gay and paedophilia pornography books being placed in school libraries.
I want to... we're going to play this last part, and then we're
what
done.
is the expertise that you have and other Moms for Liberty advocates have to decide that a book, an award-winning book like All Boys Aren't Blue, isn't appropriate for...
Now, hold on. Now, mind you, she is defending porn in schools for children, like elementary. Like, it's not for any, like, age, to be honest with you. No kid needs to know how to use dildos and butt plugs, bruh. Like, what are you talking about? You're talking about, and I believe she's for, I seen this. She's part of an organization called Liberty for Moms or something like that. And they advocating for getting a lot of these pornographic books out of schools. And here she goes defending it because that's what she does.
For students to read. What a
tragic story of a young man who's anally raped by his adult family member. So you have incest, rape, pedophilia. Joy, you said you'd let me answer, so I'm going to answer
Please
for you. In what context is a strap-on dildo acceptable for public school? I mean, that's my question to you. Tell me what the context around the strap-on dildo or the rape of a minor child by a teacher.
Hold on a second.
No. We're talking about public school.
One moment.
All right.
Now, there's also a second clip. This is you talking about Republicans exploiting concerns by minors who identify as transgender. And you said this was an old age tradition which Nazi Germany did. Let's take a look.
In fact, there are more kids who have been exposed to gun violence, estimated at 3 million, than there are transgender Americans of all ages in total. Targeting trans people isn't new. It is an age-old tradition, which Nazi Germany did with brutally violent ends in the 1930s.
Now, the confusing part of all this, Joy, is what you really think about the LGBT.
Hey, yo, he's about to smoke her, bro. I love this part. I didn't see this whole joint, the beginning of it. I just seen this one little part right here.
Plus, whatever it now is, community.
Put it on the big
because
screen.
as you know, when you started commentating about this, appearing to be a big ally, a lot of stuff emerged which came from posts that you had purportedly put up in a blog between 2007 and 2009, one of which said, most straight people cringe at the sight of two men kissing. Another said, I don't want to watch the two male characters in Brokeback Mountain. You were talking about having sex. Does that make me homophobic? Probably. You referred to the then Florida governor as Miss Charlie and featured the tag gay politicians. Now, you said at the time when all this emerged, I genuinely don't believe I wrote those hateful things because they're completely alien to me. I hired cybersecurity experts to see if somebody manipulated my words on my former blog. And the reality is they've not been able to prove it. Now you're not at MSNBC. Now you're on your own, doing your own thing, and you don't have to worry about repercussions and stuff. Are you prepared to finally come clean and just admit that was your blog and you did say those things?
You know, Piers, I might have known that you would use this opportunity and interview and that this was your purpose, right?
Why not?
This is your purpose. And that's fine. This is your show and you can do whatever you like. You know, I could sit here and go on and fight with you about your strange, weird obsession with Meghan Markle, but I won't do that because that would be rude. But what I will say is,
if you want to.
We can do that as well.
Sure.
But the point being that I was very open with my employer at the time about what happened with that old site, which I stopped writing in, before I even came back into the NBC family. And
watch the lie that she uses.
What I have not really talked about publicly, but what I can tell you is that I had a very legitimate reason for being concerned about it because I was also on the radio at that time. And the things that I was literally talking about on the radio were quite the opposite of the things that were in that site. That is the reason that we began investigating what was going on with that site. And there was also someone who I do not know, who I still do not know, who had login access to my site for years. That we did not even discover because I hadn't looked at the site.
Listen, I'm done with her, bro. I was about to call her son, man. I'm not even gonna do it, bro. I'm tired of her shit. Real shit, bro. I'm tired of her shit. Hold on, people. We moving on, man, because I wanted to, real quick, we won't end it, but I wanted to pull up something really quick. Let me see.
Speaking of which, we are getting close to football season on Tuesday.
So,
speaking of which,
we're going to play this in a second. But I just want to follow up real quick on this. Because, bro, I hope people understand that I play this type of shit because I just want to show you how fake these people really are. It's just not just her. It's not just her, bro. It's pretty much everybody that's on MSNBC, CNN, like Abby Phillips, she's another one. Like, she's black. Bro, they just want to keep pushing racism. Like, bro, come on, get over it, bro. Like, get over it. We got to get over it, bro. And they just want to push all lies, bro. Anything that go against Donald Trump. But guess what, man? Donald Trump is going to get the last laugh because all of these people's ratings are going to shit and they're all getting fired. And I love it. I ain't gonna lie, I love it, man. Just knowing, like, all of the things that I've, like, come to know about everything that's going on in politics and just like actually doing my homework, and then the next day seeing, you know, Abby Phillips and Joy Reid and Rachel Maddow, all of them get up there and just lie, and you know that they're lying. And then you have a bunch of people who actually believe that they're telling the truth, and that's the sad part. You know, so I hope people got something out of that, man. But I'm about to just show this quick minute clip of I hope it's the I wanted to show the Eagles new Super Bowl ring, bro. That shit is definitely the best Super Bowl ring ever.
Speaking of which, we are getting close to football season. On Tuesday, the Eagles report to training camp, and on Wednesday, they'll have their very first practice. But in the meantime, it was a pretty big night for them.
Look at that boy right there.
Received their Super Bowl rings tonight. Here they are arriving on the red carpet before the event. Everyone, as you can see, dressed to impress. But it's back to work on Tuesday. However, let's check out those rings first. The Eagles just posted this pic on their socials. It has the score engraved on it. Jalen Hurts has his MVP status on it. And on the inside, you see the final score to each playoff.
Look how that shit, bro, you see this? Look how it opened up. That shit like wings. And it's like engraved with a quote from Nick Sirianni. I heard they put exactly like 40 diamonds in it or something like that to represent like the score. Like, bro, that ring is so dope. You know, I was gonna play the what's the name, but you know, this video has already been an hour and a half, so I'm gonna close it. I just wanted to show a little quick little video on that ring, man, because it's the best Super Bowl ring in NFL history, man. It's my Philadelphia Eagles, and shout out to Jalen Hurts and them boys, man. We getting ready for this upcoming season, and we going for the repeat. And I'm really trying to go for the three-peat. And it's a story going around that Jalen Hurts didn't put on his ring, and that, you know, since he got it, you know, he showed it off, took a picture with it, but he didn't actually wear the ring. And, you know, my thought on it is that he ain't wearing it because he ain't finished. You know what I'm saying? I believe that he's on some shit like, man, I'm trying to win as many as I can, and I'll wear my rings when I'm done. You know what I'm saying? That's why I fucks with Jalen Hurts, bro. Jalen Hurts is a dog. He got a dog mentality. He's going to get better and better every year, and he's humble. And that's the greatest thing about him, is that he's coachable and that he's humble, and he doesn't get bigger than the moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's why I see Jalen Hurts having longevity in the NFL. I see him getting multiple Super Bowl rings with the Philadelphia Eagles, because we got Howie, you know, right now we got Nick doing his thing, you know, and we just got like the best team in the NFL. It's just like what it is. And we're the Super Bowl champs, and we're going to defend it this year, and we're going to go for it. We're going to go for it again, people. And, you know, I'm going to end it with this, man. Stop following the news. Get your information that you out here looking for, no matter what it's about, from, you know, reliable sources. You know, if you into politics, or even if you ain't, just, you know, start watching some people that's going to give you a little bit of updates on what's going on in the world. You know, and if you're not into politics or in, you know, world news in general, man, you need to get into it, because, you know, these people that we elect, you know, how we blindly elected Barack Obama because he was black. I ain't gonna lie, I voted for him because he was black. That was it. I didn't know, you know, I didn't watch not one damn campaign, none of that shit. And I voted for him. And I'm pretty sure 80 to 90% of people who voted for Donald Trump, for Barack Obama, did the same thing. This is the first time in my life, when I voted for Donald Trump this past election, that I actually watched campaigns on both sides. I seen the candidates. I actually knew what they stood for. And, and I made my vote. You know what I'm saying? It's the first time. It's because I'm actually growing up, I'm maturing, and I actually give a fuck about people that we actually elect and who is making laws and things that's actually going to affect us. And I believe, and honestly, a lot of people that I know that we never talked about politics or any of that shit. We actually, like, it just didn't matter. And that's, you know, and it didn't matter until it actually started really affecting everybody. Like, everybody. The only people who didn't care about Joe Biden being in office were people who were, like, rich and wealthy, who had money, who didn't care about gas being fucking $10 a gallon, who didn't care about a fucking apple costing $5. Like, they're the only people that can get out here and act like, you know, what, Joe Biden's the best president that ever existed and all of that, because they weren't affected. You know what I'm saying? But everybody like me who are affected by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris being in office understood the mission. And when this election that just passed came around, everybody did the right thing, which was vote for Donald Trump. Across the board, he won all the swing states. He got the black vote, the popular vote, electoral votes. He got Latino, black, Asian, Puerto Rican, doesn't matter. He got all the votes. And that's because people didn't want to take the chance, and they understood that they already knew what Donald Trump was about because he was already in office, and they understood that they had more money in their pocket. That's what it's all about. It's all about the money. It's the money. It's always going to come back to the money. Because, listen, we got to survive. And in America, that's how you survive, by making money. You know what I'm saying? So when people understood they had more money in their pockets when Donald Trump was in office. And it's just what it is, people. You know? But I just want to see these people get exposed. I hope you want to see them get exposed. It just is what it is. Is it going to affect your life whether Barack Obama go to jail or not? Of course not. Who gives a fuck? But it's a fucking good laugh. Why not? You know, I like laughing. I hope you like laughing. But listen, man, this your boy SL550. This the N.G.L.A. podcast. Make sure y'all like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I drop a dope video. Listen, I'm back in action studio, back up and running. I'm hitting y'all back with another dope video tomorrow. I don't know what it's going to be about. We'll see. Love y'all. I'm out. Millionaire thoughts, billionaire dreams. I know niggas who played ball and gave it up for lean.
Millionaire thoughts, billionaire dreams, but my account in overdraft, I'm about to scream.
Rich man greed,
a poor man prayers.
Every man bleeds,
but look how God made us.
Too many losses, it's only right that we win. Yeah, I made a promise I'm never gonna lose again.